Welcome back, everyone, to BayTran's webinar series, Connecting Our Region. We hope you had a happy and safe Thanksgiving. We know it was a little bit different this year, but safety is a priority. So hope you all had time with your family, and glad to see you back. We're returning this week for an update on the Highway 146 project. And I'm here with our BayTran chairman, Carl Joyner. I'm BayTran president, Teresa Rodriguez. And from the 146 construction team, we've got Will Bradley. He is a senior project manager for Weber LLC. And we thought it was timely to get an update on that 146 project today. It certainly plays a massive role in the movement of freight traffic through the region, and also an area that we don't talk about as much is its role in evacuations. So very important, and we know that by 2048, that corridor is going to see an 80% increase in traffic. So it's urgent, it's ongoing, and I want to turn it over to Carl to say a few words.
Well, welcome everyone today, and of course, I guess as a former mayor of Kemah, I remember the groundbreaking on this project, so I think it's timely that we get an update. And this is really a project that's going to make a big difference in the east part of the Grand Parkway, and since this will be part of that, and we really appreciate Will being here today, and we look forward to your update.
All right. Well, we've talked a little bit about an overview of 146. So if you want to kind of start there and let everybody know, where we stand now, how the project's evolved and where we're going, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Carl. And I got a presentation prepared, and if I can, I'll go ahead and start sharing that. I'll give you a quick update of Weber construction, and then kind of go over some couple past projects to kind of give you guys an idea of our strategy of how we attack projects, and then kind of how we attack 146 in the same way. So let me go ahead and share my screen right now. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
So this is a presentation that I have about 15 minutes long. Just kind of the folks from BayTran had approached me about a month or so ago to ask me to, just give a status update. So again, my name is Will Bradley. I'm a senior project manager with Weber Construction. And we're working on the SH-146 project for the client TxDOT. We're excited to be doing this project. It's a large project for us. It's around 200 million. It's complicated though. There's a lot of issues. We'll go through some of those here in a minute. But I think right now, as you guys can see, there's a lot of work going on the ground, and we're really aggressive as far as our schedule. We'll go through some dates on there, kind of what the client wants, and what we think we can provide on there as far as finishing a little bit early. See if I can advance my slides here. So Weber Construction, these are our business lines. Just to take a minute or two just to go over what we do. Our core business is heavy civil, highway, bridges, and then also the waterworks portion of things too. Our main market is the Texas area. We have South Texas region, which kind of focuses on the Houston area, which is the region that I'm in, and which is the region that's building the SH-146 project. We have a North Texas region in Dallas, and then we have Central Texas in San Antonio and Austin. And then we also do work in Atlanta and Virginia, and then some of the other surrounding states too. A couple of the past projects, and I mainly wanted to bring these up just to kind of show some of the successes that we've had in the past, and then kind of how we transferred that, and actually having some of the same people that worked on these projects managing the current 146 project too. So two of these projects were very successful for us in Weber's history. They're both projects that we did with TxDOT, and really at the end, the client was really happy with us. So the first one on the left, can you guys see my screen or see my screen, but my mouse on the screen, sorry?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so the project on the left is the I-69 emergency bridge project, San Jacinto Bridge reconstruction. This was a bridge that was damaged during Hurricane Harvey. TxDOT had approached us to put together a bid for us. We were one of 5 contractors that were invited to bid. We were successful in that project, and we actually, we went to work very quickly. We were very aggressive with the schedule, and we finished that project 34 days early. We won both milestones on there, so it was a good project for a company and TxDOT. And we were also awarded on that project in 2019, the TxDOT Project Award. So that's one project I wanted to highlight. The other one, the US 290 Segment 5, which is another one. I actually managed this project. So it's the project I was on right before this one, before SH-146. We had taken that project over from a company, Tradeco, who had actually defaulted on there. And because of that default, TxDOT lost a lot of time on the project. There was a lot of time between when that contractor left and when they were able to get Weber's forces on the ground to actually build. It was about a year or so. We're actually able to finish that project at the same time as the other projects on the other projects along the 290 corridor. So again, another major success for Weber, good project for TxDOT. We were awarded over $8 million worth of milestone completion bonuses because we were able to get things done on time. One of the main things on that project is that before we started the project, we were able to do a major traffic control redesign, and that was what guaranteed us success on there. So again, same process that we approach 146 with. So just kind of a project overview. And I think Carl had mentioned this a little bit before, but I pulled this this picture here from TxDOT's website. You know, this project, SH-146, is actually part of the Grand Parkway 99 expansion. As you can see, you know, the corridor or the portion of it, the quadrant to the northwest is already complete. And then actually Weber has a stake in this portion on the northeast quadrant, along with our parent company, Ferrovial, and then another contractor, Granite Construction. You know, the south portion of that Grand Parkway is not constructed yet, but you can see where we kind of fit in here. You know, this is the Clear Creek Channel right here. So 146, again, not only being an evacuation route for the people in Galveston, but also tying into the major improvements of actual Grand Parkway. So as a part of the 146 project, you know, we are building about 4 miles of highway. One of the major things that we're doing on here is a bypass bridge. It's a 116 span bridge from just north of NASA. It crosses NASA, crosses the Clear Creek Channel, crosses 2094 and 518, and then it would land just north of 96. Excuse me. And then along with that, also the portion in Seabrook, we're actually converting it to a conventional freeway. There's going to be 2-lane frontage roads on the northbound and southbound, and then also 6 lanes of actual freeway roads on there. And mainly just to go over kind of where we're at right now on the project status. As of this month, as of November of 2020, we're 45% complete if you look at the pay estimate. So if you look at the money that we collected versus what the contract value is, we've collected 45%. So we've done 45% of the work. We've used only 527 of the allotted contract days. So this is the thing that, you know, when we look at jobs, this is where we want to be. We want to be ahead on work and not using all the time. So this means right here that we're ahead of schedule by not substantial, but we're ahead of schedule right now. Some of the work that's been completed, you can see here we have our drill shaft crews going right now. There's 450 of the drill shaft out of the 711 total on the project completed so far. We have 3 drilling crews that are going to stay with us all the way through the end of the year. Probably early next year, we're going to drop maybe 1 drilling crew and then keep drilling with the other 2 so that we can finish all the shafts sometime around the summer of next year. Right behind the drilling crews, we have 8 Weber structures crews that are building the columns, the caps, setting the steel girder or the concrete girders, as you can see in this picture on the bottom, and then we're placing the actual concrete deck. So on the express bridge, which is the bypass bridge I was telling you about earlier, we've made 2 placements on there already, which consists of 8 spans, and then we're going to make another placement here sometime next week. So which will give us another 3 spans on there. So as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of work going on the project right now. As far as the work on the frontage roads, we've experienced some delays on there. We have major delays really with AT&T and CenterPoint Gas. As part of the contract, these utilities were supposed to be relocated at NTP, which is the February of 2019 date. And some of those utilities, either they're still working on the project, which is over a year late, or just recently been relocated. And even with that, those delays, we're able to still kind of keep ahead of the schedule and not really fall behind and say, hey, a lot of utilities issues are going on. We're finding ways to work around those. And I'll go into a couple of specifics on that here in a minute. And then just kind of our strategy, as I mentioned before, we're really aggressive on the schedule. And if you look, those past 2 projects that I went into, we kind of brought that same idea of trying to run and work everywhere we can to this project. So if you look right here on the bottom, this is what our schedule looks like right now. So our current schedule shows us completing the project on May 2nd of 2023, which is over a year. This is the contract date down here, June 1st of 2024. This is the contract date that per TxDOT, this is the time we have to build a project. It's 1,549 days. We should be finished a little bit more than a year ahead of that, 12, 13 months or so. One of the reasons why we're able to do that is that early on in the project, or even before NTP, before we start working, we looked at the plans, we came out, visited the site, and we identified a lot of areas that we can work without affecting the traffic. So in the specifications from TxDOT, they tell you, hey, this is the phases I want you to work in. I want you to work in phase 1, then I want you to go to phase 2, then phase 3, then phase 4. What we did is that the specifications allow us to work in multiple phases with the caveat that we don't affect the traffic. So, there's 2 lanes going northbound and 2 lanes southbound on 146. If we don't affect that, then we can pretty much work where we want to. That we took advantage of that, and that's why we're able to get this reduced schedule. So this is what we're kind of looking at right now. And if you go up and down the corridor, you'll see us working in multiple areas. Just to go over, I don't want to dwell too much on some of the challenges, but I think some of them are kind of important to go over so that everybody kind of understands what we're dealing with here. So as I've mentioned before, the pipeline relocations, there's a major pipeline corridor running along the project all the way from Red Bluff to 96, kind of right in this area where the existing power lines are. So we have one of those pipeline companies, Enterprise, which were supposed to be relocated by May 5th of 2020. They're still not relocated yet. So they just recently moved on to the project, and they've started their work, but they're projecting right now not to be finished until March of 2021. So what that does for us is that if you look at this picture up on the top here, you can see we're coming with the structures here. We got beam set, we got caps ahead of us, we're building columns, but then when we get to this area here, we can't finish our work because that actual pipeline is in our way. So, it creates an issue. We're trying to work around it. We're trying to work with TxDOT to come up with some ideas or some ways that we can kind of get around this pipeline to where we don't have to wait on that date. The other issue is that Enterprise is going to relocate, but then there's some questions about what they're going to do with the relocated pipe. So they're saying they're going to leave the pipe in the ground. It creates an issue if we have a direct conflict. We can't put a drill shaft into that pipe. So it's something that we're going to have to look at. So if you look at this cross section right here, that center point or that Enterprise pipeline is kind of right in this area here. So it stops us from completing the southbound express bridge, which really that makes a bigger issue for us, because if we don't have this bridge done, we can't build a northbound express bridge, because we're building, kind of from this area going to the west. So we're using our access points here. We need to build the structure furthest to the east first, and then furthest to the west, and then come back to the east with the northbound express. So really, if we don't get some resolution on that Enterprise gas lines, we're going to run into some problems with where it could delay past what we want to finish the project in. Like I said before, we're working with TxDOT. We're trying to come up with some creative solutions on there to where we can get around it. It's a problem now. We're trying to figure some solutions on there. And then also, same kind of concept with the Enterprise gas line. We also have other utilities, AT&T, CenterPoint Gas, that are late. So if you look on this picture up on the top here, we have beams out here in the kind of like in the middle of nowhere. They don't connect anywhere. So right in this area, there's 5 more bends that we need to build that connect up to the abutment. This road right here on the left, this is NASA 1. So we'll actually cross NASA, but we just were allowed to go into this area now because CenterPoint recently finished their relocation, which they should have been done in February of 2019. So this is where it causes issues for the contractor, because these dates are these utilities are so far behind. We're trying to get the project done in a timely manner, and then that's why we're pushing. So we went ahead, we did the shafts and the columns and the caps and set the beams where we could, and then left out the ones that we couldn't access. But with the thought that these utilities would be completed within a timely manner, that didn't happen. So we kind of end up with gaps like this in here. Another thing that we're trying to do also is that just kind of on the west side of the structure here, this is where the future southbound frontage road is going to go. So we can't build a frontage road right now because the Enterprise pipeline is under where the road is supposed to be. We approached TxDOT and we asked them if we could actually take the storm drain system that's in direct conflict with Enterprise pipeline and asked them if we could move it towards the east. They said, yeah, we can get that done for you, but their designers were pretty tied up. They're not able to get the drawings completed, quickly for us. So we proposed to them that we would use our engineering services capabilities to get the drawings done so we could advance the project, which in, a contractor like Weber, a heavy civil highway contractor, wouldn't typically have a service like that they can offer to the client. But in Weber, we have, several in-house designers that can look at things like this in an effort to kind of support the project team and then also support the client so that we can keep the projects moving as we go. Identify issues like utilities that are not relocated and try to find solutions to get around them. And just one other challenge real quick is I wanted to go over is if you guys are kind of familiar with this area. So this is the existing arterial bridge, and this is the northbound lane. So if you drive out there right now, there's this huge gap in there, right? So what happened in this area, this is the phase 1, step 1 of the project, which TxDOT says, hey, you have to finish phase 1, step 1 before you move on to phase 1, step 2. We didn't do that. We got approval to work in multiple phases, which kind of saved us and bought us a lot of time on this delay right here. So what happened is that we were driving, we were doing the piles in the water. We did two footings right here on bent number 26, and then we moved over to 25. And as we were trying to drive the piles in the water, we were hitting some obstruction on the bottom and we couldn't get them in. So we moved over to 24. The same thing again happened. We tried to drive the piles in the water. We couldn't get them in. We did some probing in there and we figured out there was some substantial obstruction in the water. Told TxDOT and said, hey, we can't get these piles in. We need to look at some alternatives for redesign on here. Again, we had our technical services go out and look at some solutions. We couldn't really come up with anything that TxDOT liked. So what TxDOT actually did was they actually did the design on their own, and they changed those piles to drill shafts. So what happens is that now Weber went out, we found a specialty contractor that could do drill shafts, but they would have to drill through the existing obstruction. So that obstruction is that if you look at this picture to the top left, this is a contractor that we engaged, and he was able to go into the water, into the channel right here, and he used some sonars, and he was able to come up with this photograph for us right here. So if you look, these bends, these piles right here are the piles for the existing bridge, and then these piles, you see like there's some timber piles that are dropped on the ground, and if you look, there's some kind of like some kind of seal slab or some kind of casing down there. And once we kind of dug into it a little bit more, we started looking at pictures. If you look on the bottom right, there was an old drawbridge in that area. So what happened is that they demoed the drawbridge and they left the foundation in there, and that's what we're hitting in there. So again, another obstruction that was in our way, it's in phase 1, step 1. If we had followed the contract and just be building, hey, phase 1, step 1, then phase 2, or phase 1, step 2, then we would have been stopped at this point. Right now, we have, like I showed you before, we're around like 45% complete on the project. So again, it's a benefit to the aggressive way that we approach the projects. And then just to kind of go over real quick, one of the other capabilities that we have is the value engineering capabilities. And if you look, this is the south end of the project, just 518 is kind of off to your left, and then 96 is to the south. In the current traffic control plans, there's a phase 4 detour that they call out for. And in that detour allows us to build the overpass across the southbound frontage road, which is this blue portion right here. And that detour actually for about 8 months or so of the project, sometime in the future, would put 146 traffic in one lane in each direction for about 8 months or so between 96 and 518. We very early on looked at that and we identified it as a problem. We approached TxDOT and said, hey, is this really something that you want us to do? It's going to back up the traffic both in the mornings and in the evenings. Let us try to look at some solutions. They agreed to it. And then we approached our engineering services department, and they were able to come up with this detour for us where we could we could eliminate that single lane in each direction for that 8-month time period. So again, the engineering services department for us, and kind of how Weber approaches the project, this was a win-win for the client, the traveling public, and for Weber, because for us it allows us to do some of the work in phase 2 instead of phase 4, which is what we want to get done earlier. And then for the public, it eliminates that one lane in each direction. So, the public will never even see that at all. There's going to be no complaints about it. So it's something that we were looking at, far in advance, and we're able to come up with a solution. So right now, our guys are actually working on the redesign on the traffic control, and coming up with the actual drawings for us right now that we can put in place sometime in January of next year. So, and then I think that's pretty much all I had. I wanted to kind of just summarize here, again, this concept of running, we want to work everywhere we can, which is the way we approach, the 146 project. We want to look at our value engineering. We have several different aspects of value engineering going on right now. The redesign on the storm drain, the redesign for the traffic control. And really our main goal is to come up with to complete a successful project for the client, for Weber itself and for the traveling public. So with that, I would open it up for any questions that you guys might have.
Give me 1 second. Let's see. Do we have a question coming in? And Will, while I'm looking for that question, it looks like maybe from Ronnie Richards. I did have a question about the storm drainage situation and how that makes up the component of this whole project. Because over the past decade, I think in TxDOT projects we've seen more inclusion of storm and drainage solutions. So what role does that play with the 146 project?
Well, can you see my screen when I do this? Can you see Google Earth on there or no?
I'm seeing your presentation.
Let me try to share. Let me do one thing.
Okay.
Here. Sorry. Let me see if I can share this. That way I can explain better to you.
Okay.
Are you able to see Google Earth now?
Yes.
Okay, so the storm drain, I mean, really the work for actually executing the storm drain is part of our contract. So we have a specialty subcontractor that would come out and execute the workforce. But what we did in that area, because the enterprise pipeline is not done, which is kind of, let me zoom in on here and just kind of get you some bearings here. So this is north is to the left of the page, south is to the right, and then this is NASA 1 right here. And then this is where we're building the existing bridge right now. That enterprise pipeline is right here. So what happens is that, we can't do any of this frontage road work until that's taken out of our way, which is it's late. So it should have been done already. We approached TxDOT, and normally what they would do is they would come up with the redesign on their own. I think it was just a problem of timing and where they have their resources right now. They weren't able to do that. So we have those capabilities and we offered it up and they agreed to it. So we're actually working on that solution right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Ronnie Richards is asking, any idea when the connection between the Kemah and Clear Lake shores under the bridge will be completed so we can access Kemah by golf cart and bike?
Can you repeat the question for me again, Teresa? Sorry.
Sure. The question is if you have an idea when the connection between the Kemah and Clear Lake shores under the bridge area will be completed so that it can be, so Kemah can be accessed by golf cart and bike.
Well, I assume he's talking about this portion right here, which is, under the bridge, there was a underpass under the bridge, right? Like in this area here, if you can see my mouse on there.
Mm-hmm.
Really, because of safety concerns, I mean, we're going to have to get out of phase 2 first, which is phase 2 is us building the actual express bridge. That's probably not going to happen till closer towards the end of 2021. So we won't be able to open that actual access way until the end of next year sometime. We do have this portion to the north opened up. It's kind of opened up kind of like halfway in here, so you can actually use a portion of this U-turn, but there's actually no paving here right now. If you look at the project right now, this is kind of where we have all our construction equipment and stuff like that. So we're actually, we're setting the girders across here right now, and then we're building these caps on this side. So I'd say towards the end of next year is when we can look at seeing that being opened up. Before the project is done, of course, but not till we get some of the bridge work done.
Okay, let's see. And from Seabrook Council Member Ed Klein, he's asking what the schedule is to complete the northbound bridge.
The northbound arterial bridge. Well, really, this is the area that I showed you where we had the conflict, right? Where we hit that existing obstruction. So we have our contractor on site right now, that our subcontractor that's doing the drill shafts for us. He probably needs about 2 months to finish that, and then it's probably going to be another 3 months or so. So I'd say, sometime towards the summer, we'd be able to open up the northbound portion of the arterial bridge. But it should have been open already. It's not open right now because of this issue with the obstruction from that drawbridge that was here, because we can't build these two bends here.
Okay. All right, and let's see, I'm not sure if this was just for clarification. He asked again, what is the schedule to complete the northbound frontage road between NASA Road 1 and East Meyer? So that's...
Oh, okay, yeah. He's talking about a different area, sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, the frontage road. Okay, so really, this is NASA 1 right here. And then, East Myers is just up this way here, or Repsdorf is right here. So we're actually, the problem again with this area is that it's part of phase 1, but, when we took the project over AT&T and Centerpoint Gas, there's a lot of conflicts from those two utilities in this area. They just recently completed their relocation. So what the plan is right now is that we have our crews finishing up the storm drain, the water line, and the sanitary sewer. And then come January of 2021, like in a couple months from now, we're going to start actually paving. So I'd say maybe just right before the summer or so, we should see some actual concrete paving on the northbound frontage road. And really, it's going to be, right around, 3rd Street or so, all the way up to Red Bluff, not just up to East Myers. So we'll be tying that in also all the way down.
All right, and thank you, Will. One last question from former Chambers County Commissioner Rusty Sinek. He is asking to clarify the current estimated completion date. Is it May 2022? I think it was May 2023, is that right?
Yeah, hang on, let me get you the exact date. Okay. Yeah, right now the current schedule that we turned into the client is May 2nd of 2023. That's the schedule that we have to turn into TxDOT every month, and it shows our completion date of May 2nd of 2023, which is about a year ahead of what the contract is requiring us to do.
Okay.
Well, this actually is the first phase of a two-phase part of the 146 project, and the second phase, you know, starts at 96 and goes down to somewhere in the 517 area or whatever. Do you know when that is scheduled to bid?
I'm not sure exactly what the date is. I believe it's sometime in 2022, but don't quote me on that. I mean, it is a project that we're actually looking at also, Weber itself. But I believe it's more than a year off, but don't quote me on that.
So one of the things that we never did quite get squared away when we were talking about phase one, as you know, this part ends at 96, which is a traffic light. So we've got all these cars rolling on the higher lanes thinking, boy, we're really rolling along here. Now all of a sudden we're going to bring them down and hit a stoplight. So any way that, since you guys are ahead of schedule, that bridge over 96 couldn't be moved up?
Well, actually, as a part of this project, we stop, I don't know how many feet it is, but we stop short of 96, right? So
right
before we get to 96, we'll actually stop. I don't know that there's actually going to be a bridge at 96 in the future. I don't know what the plans are for it right now. It could very well be. I haven't looked at any of the text documents on that yet. So, but right now, when we leave the project, when you come off the express bridge, there's going to be some lights there, you know, flashing lights ahead of the signals, which is kind of typical, you know, what they would do at those locations to signalize, hey, the freeway is actually ending. You know, there's a stoplight coming up. You need to start slowing down well in advance. So really, as far as like warnings and things like that, that's really the extent of it for right now.
I know that the bridge is in the plan. So again, I guess that's something that we at BayTran can bring up and have TxDOT look at.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it is something that we're going to pursue too, because I mean, we're already in the area. You know, if it times out, we'd like to work on something like that too. So, I mean, we're looking at it too.
Good. So Teresa, did you have any other questions?
I did not have any more questions. And you know, that was a full presentation. We appreciate the questions from the audience. And Will, thank you so much for the thorough presentation. It was great information and something we're very interested in at BayTran. We'd like to invite you back if there are any new milestones to report on, or, you know, let us know if we can get the word out at any point for any messaging you need to get to the community. Thank you, Will. Chairman, if you want to go ahead and wrap us up, just one note, mark your calendars, please, for December 14th. We are going to finish out the year with our webinar hosting TxDOT Houston District Engineer Eliza Paul. So we hope you'll come back for that. And Chairman, if you want to wrap up.
Yeah, so that's good that Eliza will be back on December 14th, so we can bring up the bridge over 96 at that time. And then maybe, Will, you guys will still be around to where you could just change order it into your project. It would be wonderful. But anyway, thank you so much. Good news, I think, for everyone in Seabrook and in Kemah as far as finishing potentially a year early. And it was interesting to see some of the problems that you were running into. And I've gone, you know, down the channel several times, so we were kind of wondering why that one piece was left out. Now we kind of understand. So we really do appreciate you being here, Will, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. And we
Thanks,
are
everyone. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Will.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.